大家好，Welcome back，欢迎大家回来。我是向老师。So I'm Shihua Shan, Dr. Shihua Shan. I'm developed this material for you to learn Mandarin modal verbs. This is developed for Center for Advanced Language Education, Proficiency Education and Research, CalPERT and Penn State. So we continue. In the first part, we learned about 能, and now we learn about 会会吃饭，会说话，会游泳，会唱歌。As modal verb, 会 means know how to do something, and it typically refers to acquired skill, internalized skill, or naturalized skill if you wish. On the other hand, it can also be talking about naturally something gonna take place. So it's your prediction of certain events in the future. Your prediction is that it's gonna naturally happen because it is always so. So there are two main strands of meaning of 会 as a modal verb. One, talking about humans knowing how to do something, and it's typically acquired skill. It's not something like sneezing, 会打喷嚏. It doesn't work that way. It's acquired, like 会 play guitar, 弹吉他, 会唱歌, very good at singing. Naturalized, it's both learned but also naturalized. So you just have this inside of you. You know how to swim, you know how to play guitar, you know how to play piano. So if I would say this key word for understanding 会 as a modal verb is the word naturalness, either internalized, naturalized skill, knowing how, or your estimation of natural tendency of events and situations to happen. It might help you to understand this modal verb if you know the ancient form. 会 in the very, very old time, the pictographic forms of 会 is the convergence of river branches. So rivers are flowing and then in the end they come together. 会. So they just converge in the end. It relates remotely to the modern meaning of something would naturally happen. And you can see the modern form here. Another tale about the origin, etymology, meaning the origin of word, is that this 会 is not a convergence of river branches, rather putting the lid on a vase. Again, that's to close something together, fitting each other perfectly. Somehow related to naturalness, if you can conceptualize in that way. Although ancient form doesn't necessarily relate to modern form in a close matched way, but you can see some hint of meaning being kept there. So 会, naturalness. So two strands of meaning of 会, one being knowing how, internalized skill, one being estimation of a situation that's naturally going to happen. So let's focus on the first type of 会, knowing how to do something, internalized, acquired skill. 会弹吉他, so all these are possible, very typical ways of using 会. 会弹吉他, know how to play guitar. 他会跳舞, he knows how to dance. 他会说中文, 他会说英文, 他会说日文, 他会说4种外语 foreign languages. 会下棋, 你会下棋吗? Do you know how to play chess? 会下棋. 会编程, some of you are computer majors, so 我会编程, 很会编程. 编程 writing codes, 编程 programming. 会游泳, some of us don't know how to swim, 不会游泳. 会骑马, and some of us don't know how to ride horses, 不会骑马. And some of you know how to make dumplings, 会包饺子. And if you don't, 我不会包饺子. So all these, as you can see, they are skills. They are not naturally born with skills. They are acquired skills. But once you acquire them, they stay with you. They are inside of you. They are internalized and naturalized. 会. So in this case, it's very different from 能. 能弹吉他，能跳舞，能说中文。They're attached to a particular situation where you have to use the skill to perform. For example, what would be a natural situation to say, 我能说中文. Maybe there's a translation problem going on and you rise up to the occasion, you volunteer yourself, 我能说中文. 我能翻译, I can translate. 我能翻译, 我能说中文, 我能翻译. So let's see an example, 会, knowing how to do it. This is an example from the spelling bee that we saw earlier in the first part of the series. In this case, we have little girl being the contestant of the spelling bee, the Chinese 汉字英雄. She already wrote a character 秋天的秋 autumn 秋 here. She wrote well, and then she's gonna do the next one, and it's supposed to be a difficult one. 老鼠的鼠. And then she claims, 我会写. I know how to do it. 我会写. So let's read this before we watch the clip. The host says, 你的秋写得特别好看. So your 秋 character is so well, beautifully written. 写得特别好看. 请你走进. Please you walk into. 请你走进. 汉字下一宫. This you don't know unless you see the clip. 下一宫, they are making the stage looking like a kind of maze-like stage where each step, each square is a gong, like a palace. And then by solving one character in one square, you move on either forward or left or right, depending on your answer. So they kind of like puzzle solving along the way. They are evoking the Chinese culture, Chinese ancient Taoist architecture features. Just some context for you to know. So, 请你走进汉字下一宫, which means please you enter the next square. 请你写出 Resultative complement, please you write it out. 老鼠的鼠, 老鼠 rat, mice, 老鼠的鼠. The judge, so the judge says, one of the judges says, 天, oh God, 这太难了, it's so hard. And the host goes on, 老鼠的鼠难吗? 老鼠的鼠难吗? It's actually pretty hard, right? The girl says, 我会写. I know how to do it. She's only like 6 years old. Judge says, 会写, 好好写. So here we have 会, we don't have 能, because she's really talking about it. I know how to do it. It's not like I can perform it. I know how to do it. It's part of my knowledge. So let's watch this.
你的秋写得特别好看，请你走进汉字下一宫。请你写出老鼠的鼠。
天太难了，
老鼠的鼠难吗？
我会写，
会写，
人家如履平地。
哎，他也这么写哈，
真棒！
哎呦，还
So she has it almost correct except one extra stroke she added to the end. We all make these mistakes. But the point here is that she says 我会写. And she's claiming that this is part of my natural knowledge. I already know how to do it. It's not a big deal. Okay? So if the action is something that everyone knows how to do anyway, because we talked about 会游泳, 会唱歌, 会跳舞 as acquired skill. But what if you use it for a certain action where everybody else already also knows? Very simple things like talking or dressing up. Then adding 会 would add the idea of being very good at it. So typically they come with intensifiers like 很 or 特别 or 非常 or comparative form like 比 more than something something, to strengthen the idea of very good at. This is very typical in spoken Chinese because it's simple and it carries a lot of meaning. So for example, if the action is 说话, the first one, 说话, to talk, to speak, 他会说话. If you add 会 to 说话, you mean something other than 说话. You mean something like they're good with words, knowing what to say to different people, knowing to be polite to elderlies, knowing to be in a group with peers, knowing how to make up an awkward situation. So very good at interacting with others. 他很会说话. 穿衣, we all know how to put clothes on, but if you say 他会穿衣, you're complimenting her dressing skills. She's very good at, matching colors or matching clothes with jewelry. 妈妈特别会买菜. 买菜, we all know how to do it. It's just to buy things. But 会买菜 means she knows how to pick a good deal. She knows how to check on the quality of the groceries, compare and balance budgets. 妈妈很会买菜. Or you can say 这家人会过日子. 过日子 is a colloquial way of saying spending money frugally, but also live elegantly, kind of chic way of living. 的家人会过日子, 会过日子. Last one, 你比我会看画. 看画, just look at pictures. But when you say 会看画, you change that very mundane action into a skill. Very good at discerning artwork, appreciating artwork. So that's one thing to let you know. If the actions are not so spectacular, it's not skill to acquire, we have a different layer of meaning, something to do with very good at. Second point to extend this discussion here is that we also use 会 to describe babies and toddlers' motor skills, as if they are acquiring these skills as they grow. And we don't use this for adults. For example, you don't say adults know how to smile. We only talk about these actions, motor skills, for babies. 宝宝, this is a Chinese word for baby. 宝宝, treasure, treasure. 宝宝会笑了. Baby's starting to smile. 宝宝会看人了. Baby starting to follow people with baby's eyes. Focus. Baby 宝宝会走路了. Babies know how to walk now. 宝宝会翻身了. Babies know how to turn around now. So all these are mundane actions, but if you're talking about babies acquiring these as skills, then they work perfectly. And because you're talking about acquired skills, we typically have 了 in the end to indicate change of state. So let's look at an example. This is from a film called Hear Me, 听说, Hear Me. It's a very nice film about these two youngsters, the boy, the girl. So the girl has a sister who is deaf. So the girl herself is not deaf, but she's always using sign language around her sister. So the boy saw her gesturing. He thought she was deaf herself as well. But because he has always been gesturing, signing to her, and she mistakenly thought the boy was deaf. So they both know how to do sign language, so they've been communicating in sign languages. Later on, in the very end, they found out, they are not deaf. So they start to talk, and they have already known so much about each other. In this clip, 小鹏, the girl was talking about her sister, 小鹏, who was deaf but very athletic, training for the Olympics in swimming. So she's working extra hard to support her sister financially. The boy admires her for that. So let's see this as an example of the girl saying, 小鹏 my sister 又会游泳又会念书不像我只会玩 So she uses 3 instances of 会 for my sister knows how to swim, but also is very good at it. Here we have double meaning, both know how to, but also really good at it. 会游泳又会念书念书 means to study books. 念 literally means to read aloud, but 念书 together is a Chinese way of saying to study. So 会念书 means she's very good at studying. So my sister 小鹏又会游泳又会念书不像我只会玩 Not like me, only knows how to play. So not how to play, I'm just, good at playing. That's the only thing I'm good at. 只会玩 And the boy thinks this is unfair because he sees her working all the time. And he says, 我看你都在工作啊 You're always working. 哪有在玩 Rhetorical question, where are you playing? 哪有 No, it's not at all. 哪有在玩 So the clip I'm showing you is in sign language, but you have the caption down here. You can use this as occasion to practice reading. So let's play one more time. You can read along. 小鹏又会游泳，又会念书，不像我只会玩。我看你都在工作啊，哪有在玩 Again, this film is called Hear Me. 听说 It's a very nice film. So now we move on to type 2 of the meaning of 会. Just to remind you, type 1 of 会 has to do with know how to. Sometimes it means very good at, depending on the sentence. You have to interpret it in the context. Type 2 has to do with natural tendency. So we always, estimate about the weather or estimate about the traffic. We predict about the future. And in some cases, we know things are just going to happen in such a way because it always happens in such a way. So that's when we use 会. For example, 今天会下雨, so it's going to rain today. 别忘了带雨伞. Don't forget about your umbrella. 今天会下雨, 别忘了带雨伞. Or if you're heading to the airport, let's say 早上上班时间会堵车，你早点出发。So in the morning, during going to work time, rush hour, 上班时间 rush hour, literally going to work time, 会堵车 It's gonna be jammed, 堵车 traffic jam, 会堵车。你早点出发 You earlier leave, depart. You should go leave earlier. 早上上班时间会堵车，你早点出发。So when you say using 会, you have no doubt about the situation. It's just a natural thing. It's going to happen. No doubt about it. So let's take an example of predicting about a far distant future. Again, we're talking about natural tendency. What's going to happen? This is a clip from the film 蓝色大门 Blue Gate Crossing. It's a Taiwanese film. It's a very nice film. Blue Gate Crossing 蓝色大门 It's about a boy and a girl, high school classmates. And the girl finds out that she likes girls, and the boy likes her. So it's a kind of story about the youth growing up and discovering themselves. In the very end, the girl narrates, 小事 is the boy's name. 小事看着 so I'm looking at 看着你的花衬衫 so your flowery shirt 飘远 floats away. This is a very literary style. 小事看着你的花衬衫飘远，我在想 I'm thinking 我在想1年后 1 year later 1年后3年后 3 years later 5年后 5 years later 我们会变得什么样子呢？会变得什么样子呢？ Change to what kind of thing? Appearance. What's going to happen to us? 由于你 because 由于 again formal register connection 由于 because 你善良 kind-hearted 开朗 open-minded 又自在 comfortable in your own skin 又自在你应该 you should 会 will be 更帅吧 more handsome. So 小事看着你的花衬衫飘远，我在想1年后3年后5年后我们会变得什么样子呢？由于你善良开朗又自在，你应该会更帅吧。So 会 here in both cases she was looking forward imagining the future. As you know, future has its own course of action and we are just going through time to get there. So 会 helps to convey the idea of naturally will be our future selves. So let's watch this film clip.
小事，看着你的花衬衫飘远，我在想，1年后、3年后、5年后，我们会变成什么样子呢？由于你善良、开朗又自在，你应该会更帅吧。于是我似乎看到多年。
Okay, so 会 natural tendency without human intervention. They're just such. Because 会 is talking about natural tendency, oftentimes you see 会 in connection with other phrases, adverbs. They form chunks, formulaic chunks, and it's helpful to know them as a chunk. So here is another example. 迟早会 迟 means late, 早 means early, 迟早 sooner or later, will. This is a useful expression. It's relatively less frequent as high in register, 比较 relatively formal. 迟早会 sooner or later will. And this film clip is from the film 不能说的秘密 Secret. That's the English title by the famous singer 周杰伦 周杰伦 So they form a budding relationship. The boy, they're both in a music academy. They're both playing pianos. So the boy says, 你琴 piano 弹得不错 So you play pretty well. 你琴弹得不错 And the girl corrects him, says, 是厉害 It's not 不错 不错 is too mild. I'm really extremely good. Fiercely good. 是厉害 And the boy mockingly says, 是厉害 He's mocking her girlish way of talking. 下次弹给我听好不好 So next time, play for me, okay? And the girl says, 不行哦 No, I can't. The boy says, 没关系啊 It's all right. 迟早我会知道 Sooner or later, I'm gonna find out how good you play.
好吧。你琴弹得不错哦。
是厉害。
是厉害。下次弹给我听好不好？
不行哦。
没关系啊，迟早我会知道。
Lots of students like this film. If you haven't watched it, it's really nice film, and it's pretty good in terms of language use there as well. So a next chunk, like a formulaic expression I want to show you, is 一定会, because we're talking about natural tendency, 会. Oftentimes it attracts this adverb 一定, must, absolutely, 会. It conveys the tone of being very assertive. So usually you see this with people being very certain about their opinions. They want to emphasize their opinion, and they use this. Here we have a well-known Chinese advocate, artist, Chen Danqing, talking about films. You may not have known him, but he's well known in China. This example is relatively it's in an interview context, so it's about films. It's a bit more formal in terms of register and style. Okay, so he believes 我相信, I believe, 我相信一个好的电影文化 a good movie culture 在一个国家 in a country 我想 I think 第一指标 the first yardstick 指标 standard yardstick the first standard 是它的娱乐电影怎么样 is its entertainment films pop films 娱乐电影films for entertainment. So I think the first yardstick should be the quality of its entertainment films. 只要娱乐电影好 as long as its entertainment films are good, 它一定会有好电影 He will absolutely have good films. And he repeats, 一定会有好的must be good ones. 所谓深刻的电影 the so-called 所谓 the so-called 深刻的电影 deep meaningful films. 文艺片 art house films 文艺片 art house films. 历史片 epic films historical films. So Chen Danqing was he is a big fan of Hollywood film industry. He thinks it's the kitchen of the world's film, the biggest kitchen in the world in terms of films. He believes that if entertainment films are good, like, in the US you have Avengers, all sorts of entertainment films, great ones. If they are good, the other films won't be bad. Absolutely. So here, let's hear this. This is the host, Chen Danqing, going to show up.
得不断的上菜嘛。我相信一个好的电影文化在一个国家，我相信第一指标是它的娱乐电影怎么样。只要娱乐电影好，它一定会有好电影，一定会有好的所谓深刻的电影，文艺片，什么历史片这。
Okay, so if you have an occasion where you need to emphasize on your belief and opinion, maybe 一定会 or 迟早会 will come in handy. Now, what about 会 used in questions or used in negation? We know that there are two strengths of meanings for 会, either knowing how to do something, good at something, or natural tendency. If we negate or if we question, luckily for us, the meaning doesn't really change much. 会游泳不会游泳，会唱歌不会唱歌 It's okay. Just switch the switch. If you're talking about tendency, something 会 happen versus 不会 happen, it will, it won't. Also, lucky for us, the meaning doesn't shift much. It just switch black and white. Here I want to show you a funny clip. We'll maybe show you how question with 会 and the negation with 会works. So here we have someone who is at the airport. He is a very self-important businessman. He just found out that his assistant booked a economy class flight ticket for him. He always flies first class, but this time because of the 春运, the Chinese New Year, big transportation crisis. The assistant didn't get the good ticket. He only got the economy class, so he was very surprised. So he says to the checking counter clerk, 怎么会 How can it be 怎么会不是头等舱呢 How can it be not be first class? And then the lady says, 对不起先生，您订的是经济舱的票。So you booked the economy class ticket. And the passenger says, 再看一眼 Please check again. 会不会是公务舱的 So still very hopeful. 会不会 Might it be business class? That's also not bad. And then the check-in clerk says, 对不起先生 Sorry sir. 的确 It's indeed 是经济舱 Indeed it's economy class. 电脑 computer 就是这样显示的 Computer shows it as such. So for our interest here, let's emphasize 怎么会 as a question, 怎么会 how can it be? So something already happened, this is the case, but how can it be? 怎么会 If you're still hopeful, 会不会 Might it be still? So let's take a look at this clip.
怎么会不是头等舱呢？
对不起，先生，您订的是经济舱的票。
你再看一眼，会不会是公务舱的？
对不起，先生，的确是经济舱，电脑就是这样显示的。
那我加钱好吧？升舱行不行？
对不起，先生，头等舱和商务舱都已经客满了。
给我一个靠窗的座位。
对不起，先生，这里是办理头等舱的，经济舱在那里。
Okay, so I showed you more minutes after the part I emphasized early on. So he didn't get any ticket or he didn't get to upgrade. He had to wait in the long line for the economy class. Okay, so this is the end of the part for 会. I hope you find this part useful. Next part will be on the modal verb 要. Just stop for now. 谢谢大家，我们一会儿再见。